Hello my friends, welcome to this together run. I'm just grabbing my sunglasses out of my car as it is bright out. I am definitely in a rush, but I'm going to have us touch some element of nature. The buds are starting to open up on this tree outside my house. Spring is coming. I'm just touching that, feeling the furriness of it. I invite you to do the same. Are you ready to begin? In 3, 2, and 1. Off we go. Oh, I am not dressed for this. A little bit underdressed here today, but hopefully we'll warm up. And yeah, so I'm definitely rushing out the door. We're not going to manage an hour, or I'm not going to manage an hour. You are free to do extra for yourself if you want to. I was recording a podcast with Yetica Starfields, an Indigenous runner, an artist, and a bit of wind. And ran Western States last year with Goo and Rising Hearts, and we were just talking, and you know those things where you're like, I really need to go, but I'm really enjoying talking to you. And so I kept pushing it until it was like 56 minutes past the hour, and I knew I needed to be back 1 hour and 4 minutes later. And so quickly threw my shoes on and went out the door. So underdressed, probably going to have really cold hands, but worth it to go on a run with you. And thank you for joining me. So we'll go into a bit more of what I've been up to once we get going, but for now we're going to go and begin our usual meditative elements. We've done our check-in with nature, and in just a minute we are going to begin our body scan, which is going to mean that we are going to start from the top of our heads and work our way down our bodies, just checking in with the various elements of our bodies and just seeing how they feel. Before we begin, I'm honestly tempted to run home and grab my gloves. I don't know, will I warm up? Maybe I'll just start, and if my hands get too cold, then I can turn around and we'll head back over there. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. Okay, so if you haven't done a body scan before, I'm going to call out the various areas for you. And your only job is to just be present in those areas, to see how you feel, and just listen to your body. You ready? Okay. Starting at the top of your head, working your way down, going through the top of the head into the eyes, making sure those eyes aren't squinting or holding on to any tension as you continue down into your nose and mouth. Continuing on around the back of your head, going down into the back of your neck and the front of your neck as you work your way into your shoulders. Continuing on into your upper arm as we keep working down around the elbow into the lower arm. Continuing down into the wrist and hand, and finally into your fingers. So then we come back into the main part of the torso, in through your chest, going down into your stomach, into the hips and pelvis, as we work our way down into your quads, and around to the back of the hamstrings, going into the front of the knee, the back of the knee, as we continue on down through the calf and shin, and into your inner ankle and your outer ankle, into your arch of your foot, top of your foot, and finally into your toes. Let's just take a moment. How's your body feeling? For me, my fingers are definitely too cold. I'm going to start heading back, go get a pair of gloves. But this is how runs are sometimes, right? Well, at least they are for me. I don't know if you're someone who always gets your self-organised enough to not be rushing around, but this is just how my life goes sometimes. But yeah, my fingers are definitely in need of a pair of gloves. So we're going to go grab that. It must be way colder. The real feel must be way colder than I thought it was. Yeah, this is pretty brisk. Okay, so I'm going to start heading back, but we can continue on as we are doing. And so the next pieces are to do your census check-in. But honestly, wondering if maybe I'll do the mental health check-in. And what I'll do is I'll leave you outside my house while I run in and grab some gloves. And that can be your reflective period. So while you won't have my feet, my rhythmic feet, or the sounds of things moving, I can give you that time to reflect while I go grab another layer. Don't know whether to grab another long sleeve or to just grab gloves and a head warmer. I think I might just do that. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So, yes, I think we'll begin with our mental health check-in. So what this is basically going to be is I'm going to say to you, or I'm going to say to you now, how are you really? And I want you to just reflect. If we were together and we have run enough of these together, you might be comfortable enough to share what things are going on for you in your life, what emotions are there. If you aren't comfortable, or even if you are, but you still know you wouldn't tell me any of this, that's okay too. But I still want you to just reflect within yourself. Doesn't have to be to tell anyone, doesn't have to be to do anything, just for you. Because it's good for us to be aware of what's going on for us internally, just to check in. And when it comes to my turn in a minute, I'll explain to you just why I know that's so important, especially right now, as I have been mentally going through some stuff. And I'll explain some of that to you. Obviously, I'm not going to say everything. Yeah. So I'm going to give you about 2 minutes. If you find yourself wandering off, that's okay, that's normal, that's expected. But I want you to just gently bring yourself back if that is the case. And just remind yourself of that it's okay to wander off. So, how are you, really? A little bit longer. Keep on reflecting. Oh, my neighbour's going to say hi to me in a second, just FYI. Hi.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm good, how are you? He always says the same thing to me. And he's the one that, if you've heard me say the poison ivy story about, that's him. He's a sweetheart though. Anyway, alright, last few seconds for you. Okay. How funny, by the way, is it that literally while you were doing your reflective, how are you really, I just had the ultimate example of what I struggle with, although in that moment it was kind of perfect, you know, I'm doing something with you, I was running by, but like that's it, right? It's the, hi, how are you? Yeah, good, you? Yep, good. You know, it's just like, in many ways kind of pointless, because like you don't say anything that's true. And as I said with him, with the poison ivy, I did tell him my real thoughts, and he like basically didn't want to hear it. So it's quite funny. Anyway, thank you for, I feel so much better with gloves on and a headband. Thank you for taking that time to check in with yourself, give yourself that space to, just be with your thoughts and where you're at. Something we need to do. It's important to us. I think it's a big draw for many of you doing this. And I just want to thank you for joining. Okay, so my turn. How am I really? Well, if you follow me on social media or you saw my email, you probably will know that last week I was not good. I was kind of scaring myself in the way that I was feeling. It wasn't like super dark, but like I didn't want to talk to anyone. Well, there was very few people I did want to talk to. There was one day I went out to record one of these. I started it and just turned it off like a minute later because part of me didn't want to talk to you, didn't want to talk, but another part of me was like, I'm going to say everything, and that's not good. It's not just my secrets to tell, and so I had to turn around. So that is why you had the it was formerly a Patreon episode of Marina Del Rey on the feed last week. And by the way, if you haven't done that one, go back and do it, because it's a very different episode, a very different Together run, but I think it's very enjoyable and will be very reflective for you. So if you haven't done it, go back and do it. But yeah, I didn't want to talk to anyone. A good example is, if you've listened to Running Realized, you know probably my favourite episode of all of those was episode 3, which is called The Inner Disconnect. Sean Martin, a Navajo runner, did the story piece, and Simranjit Singh was the interview. Simran and I are very close friends, and he knew something was up, and he called me, and I didn't want to answer to him. I told him I don't want to talk, and that is so, like, Simran's someone I love to talk to, and there was many examples of this, and I was crying a lot. I was like not wanting to do any work or anything, just felt really down, and just very unhappy, but I couldn't quite put my finger on what was going on, why I was feeling that way. I just knew that I was off, and thankfully it just worked that Steve's schedule had a weekend off to where he could, take the lead with the girls, and so I could get away for a bit, reset myself. And it just so happened that 3 of my closest friends were all available, and so I could spend some time with them. And so how am I really now? I feel better. I have had a reset. I do feel more hopeful and revived, but I do wonder if it's going to stick or if I'm going to slip back into that feeling, and what I can do to stop myself from getting that way. I don't really know, as I said, exactly what it was. There's a few different little things that were going on with me that were contributing to it, but it's no use me going off to see some friends and not abandoning my family, but doing something for myself, which I did. And I haven't taken, if you want to call that a vacation like that since Bailey was born, where I just go somewhere because it's fun. Actually, that's not true. I went to Barcelona with my mum when... Was I pregnant? No, I think I was pregnant with Bailey. Yeah, okay, so never mind. But I can't do that often. So, and never mind the guilt I felt of doing that. And especially with climate traveling, when I didn't technically quote unquote need to. And in many ways for that last one, I did need to, because I was getting into such a dark place that it was outweighing the cost of adding that carbon to the atmosphere. Well, you could always probably argue that maybe not. But, I like to think I add value to this planet, so yeah, I felt like I needed to do it. So yeah, I'm kind of a little bit on guard, I suppose, or watchful. Steve is gone all weekend, the weekend after you're listening to this, so I'll really get a test of how I'm doing without him around. Just me and the girls to just do whatever we want to do, especially as this week, because I didn't do any work that week, I was feeling miserable and didn't really do much work in the weeks before, where it was building up to that point. And the week I was away, I've got quite a bit to do, so I've been very busy this week, but this weekend is going to be a weekend, so how will I handle that? So we'll see. But as of right now, I definitely feel better. And I had another reminder, which I want to talk to you about today before we move on, which maybe you need that reminder too. One thing, obviously, while I was there, I was with friends who I care about a lot and I wanted to cherish the time with. So I wasn't on my phone much. And I was able to put it aside and not think about it. But especially, I spent 2 days with Ryan Montgomery, who was another guest on Running Realised and was on Running for Real last year, who's a good friend of mine. And Ryan and I were able to just put our phones on Do Not Disturb and sit and talk for 3 hours. And that felt so good, to have my phone away from me, knowing I couldn't hear it, and just to be present. And that was something for me I used to be really good at, but over the last 6 months or so, I've been having my phone near me a lot. I've been checking my social media a lot. I've been checking messages, even if not replying to them in the moment. I see them and I'm kind of thinking about them. And so I think for me, that's a major piece of my mental health, is having solid chunks of time where my phone is not near me. It's the reason I got rid of my Apple Watch, was because I didn't like that feeling of it dinged and I would check, or having that temptation to check anytime I was even slightly bored. But I think in the recent months, I've been filling that gap with my phone and basically doing the same thing. And so that's something I've been, since I've got back, trying to make a change in. When I go pick my girls up from school, the walk there and back, I leave my phone at home to just really be present there. And also to, be at one with nature. Because one way I have them, but the other way, or have one of them, the other way I have both of them. And so that time when I'm by myself or just Chloe in the stroller, I can just really look up and around and not be tempted by my phone. And I'm also putting it on Do Not Disturb for chunks. So we'll see if that helps, but it was a real wake-up call for me. And if you find that sounds familiar, start putting some boundaries in for yourself, because I really noticed an immediate change when I did that. So yeah. Okay, so let's do our senses check-in now. So what that's going to be, let's take 3 breaths as deep as you can take them while running. Ready? It still weren't very deep at all for me. So, what do you smell? Well, I'm behind the garbage truck. You know what I'm going to smell? What do you smell? It's actually the yard waste, so it's more an earthy smell. What do you taste? Me, I taste the muesli I was eating not long ago. Ready? Just passing this truck in. Okay. What did you taste? Just going to give us a second with what one is next. Next is going to be, what do you hear? So I'm going to invite you to either take your headphones off if you want to listen to my sounds, or just within your own. You're just going to take just a little bit of time to just be in your ears, see what comes up, what do you notice hearing, and we'll check in a minute. Few more seconds. Okay, thank you for doing that. I hear an electric car. I heard the garbage truck, as you well know. I hear birds. I hear my breathing and my feet. I hear some kind of horn. Alright, so actually I'm just going to pause us for a second because I'll forget about this otherwise. Also, I did mention on the last run that I got my blood work done by Inside Tracker because I just felt physically off. This was, part of whatever you want to call it, meltdown of my last few weeks was the feeling physically bad. But I got it back. It didn't really show anything other than creatine kinase and my liver enzymes being high, which is, those are interconnected. And it said they were from muscle damage. So I think for me, all that tiredness was coming from the strength training. Just like such a shock to the system, I suppose. But that was the only thing that made any sense, because it coincided with the start of my strength training, and I feel better now. So yeah, I guess this was a few weeks worth of exhaustion as my body adapted to doing strength training again, which is interesting. All right, okay, so let's get back to what we were doing. So the next thing I want you to be is just present within your body and your tactile sense, touch, feel. So I want you to just go ahead now and be in your body, follow your awareness where it goes. What do you feel? Few more seconds. Okay, what did you feel? Where was your attention and awareness being drawn to within your body? For me, a few of my fingers are still a little bit cold. My awareness is also my stomach, which kind of feels like it's bouncing around a little bit, like food bouncing around in it. Also, my headband is feeling nice and warm on my ears. So yeah, those are some areas that I'm noticing right now. Okay, and finally, a sense of sight, a sense of vision. I want you to look around wherever your attention goes. But as always, I want you to make sure you find a detail of some kind, hone in on something, really take a mental photograph of it. And we'll go from there. I like my run today, it's full of sounds. What do you see? What details are you paying attention to? Final few seconds. All right, what did you see? Where were your eyes drawn today? My eyes were drawn to a few trees who have had pretty much all their limbs hacked off, but they're still standing strong, at least for now. And another tree related note is just the buds really starting to open up on many of the different trees. Just seeing the difference in how they look. The one at my house was kind of like a tulip looking thing, and the one just now I was paying attention to is kind of like a big, what you'd think of more of a textbook bud, at least for me. So yeah. Alright friends, where are we at? Oh, 31, sorry. Come to a walk, 30-minute friends. I'll give you 30 seconds or so, and we'll go in and do our strides. 2 strides, 10 to 15 seconds. If you're walking, you're gonna come to it from a walk and go into the run. If you are running, you're gonna just pick it up to about 80% of your max. Same for everyone, 80% of our max. For 10 to 15 seconds, I'll start us and stop us. We'll take a little break in between. Then we'll do another one. Then 30-minute group, you can be on your way. At this point, I want to remind you, this is a good time to remind you, if you're enjoying these runs, go sign up for the email newsletter, which you can find links in the show notes for this episode, or wherever you're listening to this episode. Go sign up for the email newsletter. If you like these, you'll definitely like that. And anyone running Shamrock in Chicago next month, let me know. I'll be there, and would love to see you. Okay. Right, so let's do our stride. All right, 3, 2, and 1. Go. Again, you shouldn't be trying to take big steps, lots of little steps. And come to a jog or a walk. Try and take more steps to increase your cadence, which will propel you faster. Someone's angry down there. Take another 20 seconds or so and we'll do another one. I also love, if you are newer here, if you haven't left a review on iTunes, you can help me erase some of the negative ones lately of people complaining about me. I'd really appreciate that. All right, are we ready? 3, 2, and 1. Come to a jog or a walk, 30-minute group. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you being here. Would love if you would take a picture right now of you where you finish this run. Again, as always, I really don't care what you look like. I just want to see you and imagine I'm running with you. That's all that I would love to see. So you can go ahead and do that. If you're comfortable, you can send it to me in DM. Or even better, if you share it, that helps get the podcast out there. Or if you want to do that with a regular podcast episode that speaks to you, that would really be helpful. And I'm going to actually tell the rest of you in a minute about the episode this week, which is last Friday, which is totally different to every other episode I've ever done. So hang around if you want to hear that. Okay, so on that note, I'm recording this on Friday. You're going to hear this on Monday. Just released today an episode with my closest friend, Elizabeth Inpine. She is someone you've probably heard me talk about before, and she pushes me. She's the reason I started publicly speaking out about environmentalism and was kind of the catalyst for 100 Days of Sustainability when I did that. And yeah, she has allowed me to access a very, very deep female friendship that has been really powerful for me in my life. And so in that episode, we talk about how we find these deep friendships, how we maintain them even over distance. Elizabeth and I live a long way apart. We've never lived in the same place. And actually my time with her last week was the longest we've ever spent together, which was 2.5 days. But we've maintained this really strong friendship for probably about 5 years now. Knowing each other about 7. And so I thought that was an important topic to talk about, because especially with the pandemic, we realized how much we need people, and how much we need people who, and maybe I can be that person for you, or have been that person who challenges you to not just accept the way things are, that really isn't afraid to push you a little bit out of your comfort zone and challenge you if you are doing something that they feel isn't in alignment with yourself. I think that's good for all of us to have. And so I think this episode is very personal, yes, but it's also a good reminder of how to seek that out in your life, because it's something I had always craved too. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Also, as I didn't mention last week, because I didn't record it together on last week or the week before actually, Evie was on podcast the week before, her 5th return to the show, which makes her the most of anyone. And we talked about, if you are someone who has a running goal that you really want, but you're not a quote-unquote professional or competitive athlete, but it means a lot to you, and you don't want people to just say, do your best. She's going to give you, we talked about that in detail. We also talked about the other end of it, of kind of the stage I'm in, of what do you do if you don't have anything on the agenda and you kind of don't feel motivated by that. So I definitely encourage you. I know Evie is always a fan favourite. So go back and listen to that one if you haven't already. And then the week before that was my high school coach, Brad Plummer, who, if you've heard me on any interview where they've asked me about my start of running, my early running years, I always bring up Brad. And you get to hear his side of things. And he is just such a character. He says it straight. He's got no ego. He just wants the best for people. Says it in his fun, someone said almost Michael Caine-esque accent. And he's just such a gift. So I'm sure it will make you reflect on your own life, on someone who played an important role in your world. So if you missed that one, you can go back to that one as well. So a lot of episodes missed that I haven't had the chance to tell you about. I also don't even think I've recorded one of these since the Red S updates went live. So on YouTube, for free, you can go check out the 50 videos we have about relative energy deficiency in sport. And while that seems like something highly complex for elite athletes, it is actually can affect anyone regardless of weight, size, speed, miles run, level, pace, any of it, gender. It can affect anyone and everyone. And if something has been feeling off with you physically, or you keep getting injured, or mentally you feel in a rough place, that could have the answers for you. It's literally me asking some of the best experts in the world about asking them the exact questions that have been submitted and sent to me over the years about, fueling, periods, all that. But again, it's not gender specific. So I encourage you to check that out, not only for your own sake, but also just to support me. YouTube is really funny about, you have to get a certain number of watch hours. So another way you can help me out is by leaving, this is totally a hack, leaving your YouTube, watching YouTube, but also if there was a way, I'm not going to say it directly, if there was a way you put like a running for real episode on and you accidentally walked out the room, on YouTube this is, accidentally walked out the room and just like went to do a few things and came back, that would be a shame because you'd miss the episode, but appreciated. So the red S things are also going to get pushed out more if we can get our watch hours to the minimum YouTube recommend or needs you to have, which is a lot. So yeah. But that red S recovery resource has 2 to 4 minute videos. I guarantee you, if it's not you who has been affected by red S, someone you know and care about has been. And as you know, I'm very passionate about this topic because I felt so broken and alone. And if I'd have had something like this, I probably wouldn't be here right now because it would have changed my life so much. So that's the reason it's there. It's to help and support and give people, you know me, everything I do is about not being alone. And so that's why this was made. And I would really appreciate if you would help me get it out there and go check it out, because we're really proud of what we've made at Running For Real. So yeah. Okay. So I actually think if I go, I don't think I'm going to do 50 minutes. I think we're going to go for 55 and I can still be home on time. So we're just going to do one more set of strides, which we'll just do at 45 minutes, okay? And then if you are doing an hour roundabout there, you are welcome to do some extra ones when I leave. But yeah, then we will get 4 strides in a few minutes. And Steve's not running late to get to work. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. Okay, so now it's your turn. If we were running together, what updates would you have for me? It doesn't have to be about your work, whatever you would want to share. If we ran together often, what would you tell me about since you've last run with me? Or if this is your first time of doing this, what do you want to share about you and who you are? So yeah, let's go ahead and do that now. in a few seconds. Come to a walk, 45-minute group. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing, for thinking about it, for reflecting on your life. Well done. It's good to do that as often as we can. Well, maybe not too much, but you know what I mean. All right, are we ready? We're going to do a stride in 3, 2, and 1. Come to a jog or a walk. We have about 30 seconds and we'll do another one. Then 45-minute crew can be on your way. Rest of us, well, you'll have 10 more minutes or a little bit less with me, and then whatever else you want to do. I still don't know where most of you fall. Like, what distance run do you do? That's another way. By you sharing it, you help to get the podcast out. I appreciate that, but I also know then how far you're going. So sharing helps, as does reviewing, as does you joining the newsletter. Right, ready? 3, 2, and 1. And also my hack around YouTube. Okay, come to a jog or a walk. 45-minute group. Thank you so much for joining. Be sure to go click those links over on the page, wherever you're listening to this. And I'll see you on Friday for another podcast episode. Actually, this Friday is a big one. Did you see last week that Janji and Wazel have merged? And I will be bringing you the story from Sally and Dave, co-founder of Janji and the founder of Wazel. So for once, we're going to get the news scoop. So be sure to subscribe to this podcast if you've not already, because that will be one you do not want to miss. So I'll see you on Friday. Or Wednesday on Weekly Strides on YouTube if you want to watch it there. All right, thanks, fans. Okay. So yeah, that's a very exciting opportunity that came up and fell in my lap. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to digging into how that happened and like what that looks like. I'm really excited about it. Like, those two together, that's a powerful force. And one that can really make change in our world. You got women, people who are fiercely loyal to women and fighting for women, and a company who is fiercely believing in environmental and the importance of taking care of water, of giving everyone access to water. It's an amazing combination. So I'm personally excited about what those two are going to do together, and not for any reason selfishly, but just because it's a amazing opportunity for our community, our industry to change. So yeah, a little bit. I haven't interviewed them yet, but yeah, a little bit nervous about it. Like, I want to get it right, but it's often the case, and all we can do is our best, right? Okay, so what else do I have to tell you? So yeah, last week was I flew into San Diego. Amazingly, there's a direct flight that goes from San Diego, or St. Louis to San Diego. And then spent 2.5 days with Elizabeth, my dear friend Dava, who you'll hear about in the episode, the Together Run last week. He picked me up. I spent a day and a half with him and his family, who are very dear to me. I knew them very well, and I had like an amazing 2-hour chat with his niece, who was 8, when I really knew her and like take her up for froyo and stuff. And now she's 23 and she's a beautiful woman in terms, not physically, I'm talking about, I mean, she is pretty physically, but I mean, just like a beautiful soul, really big heart that is so emotionally mature. It's like hard to understand how she sees the world the way she does at her age. Amazing. Anyway, had a really nice time there. Dava I've known since 2006. Dear friend. And then he took me up to LAX, and on my way back to St. Louis, my layover goes through Salt Lake City, and happened to work it so I could meet Ryan Montgomery in the airport in LAX. We flew together and then spent 2 days with him, and it was just, really lovely in the snow in Utah, so I had plenty of time by the ocean and the waves and the beach. And then I had some time in the snow and on the mountain, and peaceful. So it was just such a amazing little break with dear friends that I needed. And so that's most of it right now. My updates. I'm going to have us do a body scan at this point. So you do it at your own time, just checking in, your own pace, checking in with each part of your body. So let's go ahead and do that now. Few more seconds. Ooh, the smell of tar. Yuck. Okay. How's your body feeling now compared to at the beginning? How are you feeling now compared to at the beginning, mentally? Oh, this is so annoying. This truck, I've been like zigzagging around the whole run. They're filling in the holes of the road. I don't know if it's just because I'm running at a different time, but I feel like the sounds are just like everywhere today. Just noises. Alright, so we've got about just over a minute left. And just want to take a moment to thank you for your support and love. Many of you reached out when I was having a rough time, and that really meant a lot, and encouraged me in going. As I said, I had a lot of guilt over the flights over there. But like, I also know I need to be here, like mentally, physically, and literally, to be able to do what I do. And I could just tell I needed some time to myself after giving so much into all the work that I do, into my kids, my family, my community. So I just felt like I needed that, and I'm kind of proud of myself for doing it. So thank you for your support there. It meant a lot. Just gonna run around a second. Okay, so we've got 10 seconds, and then I'm going to come for a walk. If you want to keep going, you are more than welcome to. That's it for me. Let's get in the house. But thank you for joining me today, for your love, for your support, for your belief in who I am, and just being who you are. I love seeing when you share these runs, so go ahead and take a picture now or when you're done. But I appreciate you, and if I'm here if you need it too. Alright, thanks friends. I'll see you on Friday for that special episode with Sally and Dave Spandorfer. See you then.